I hope everyone is having an amazing holiday. Today's video is going to be super fun. I'm going to be making some Christmas cookies. I found a pretty easy sugar cookie recipe. I've actually never baked cookies from scratch before, so this is going to be super fun. I'm going to do a step-by-step with the baking process, and then we're going to have some fun decorating. So let's get into it. So we're starting with the dry ingredients first. You need 2 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. It doesn't really matter if it's bleached or unbleached, just all-purpose. Then you want to go ahead and sift out the flour. If you don't have a sifter, you can use a fork like I did. Half a teaspoon of baking powder. You never need much baking powder. So half a teaspoon, and then you want to give that a whisk. The recipe also called for 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt here as well, but the butter I'm using is already salted, so I omitted that. But if your butter is unsalted, you want to add that. And then in a separate bowl, you want to add 3/4 cup of butter, which is a stick and a half. Then 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. If you don't have a 3/4 cup measurer, you can just use one of your half cups and one of your 1/4 cups, and that'll give you 3/4. And now the fun part, the mixing. I use my hand mixer. If you have a stand mixer, God bless you. A hand mixer, you have to do a little bit more of the work, but I had fun doing this part. You want it to have a nice smooth texture. I use my mixer on medium speed for about 2 minutes, and this is what you want it to look like, nice and smooth. So once you have that texture, you want to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I know that seems like a lot, but trust me. And then you want to add 1 large egg and continue to mix until everyone gets to know each other. Once you have all the wet ingredients combined, it's time to add the dry blend. So I gave it a once over with sifting, and then you want to just introduce it to the wet ingredients now. And this part should be slow and steady. I know it doesn't look slow and steady on camera, but I used my mixer at its low speed and just continue to blend it out little by little. If your dough is coming out a little too sticky, you might want to add some more flour. I had to add, actually throughout, I added a little more flour than this actually, and continue to blend because you do want it to be pliable for you to roll out. Here I'm just preparing to roll out the dough. I made the grave mistake of using parchment paper instead of just flouring the countertop and just using the countertop. I was trying to be all clean and, use parchment paper, but I had a lot of issues rolling it out on the parchment paper. It got stuck a lot. I actually should have known to just ditch the paper and use a clean floured countertop once I had to ask my mom to come and help hold down the parchment paper. But you want to roll out your dough to about 1/4 of an inch thick. I separated the dough into 2 parts to make it easier to roll and chilled it for 2 hours before cutting. We had such cute little cutouts. Here's a little snowman. This night, I actually only made 2 batches of cookies. This recipe makes a very large dough. So with the extra dough, I wrapped it in parchment paper and froze it. And I made some another night, which I'll show at the end. But while the cookies were baking, I whipped up some icing. So here's a little trick to enhance store-bought icing, to make it a little fluffier and to double the amount of icing. You want to just use your whisk attachment and literally just whisk it out for about a minute or two. It makes it fluffy and easier to use on cookies. You can also use a little food coloring in white icing and make literally any color you want. I actually wanted this first batch this night to be only green and white icing with different color sprinkles and decorations. And then a couple nights later, I made my own personal batch by myself while everyone was asleep. And I used only white icing actually, which I will show in just a second. This is the batch from this night. They came out so cute. And these are from the late night batch. I'm so proud of how these came out also. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you guys try the recipe. And stick around and subscribe for more non-holiday content in the new year.